This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to have him with us. John, thanks for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity to be with you.
All right, we learned Tuesday morning that Kamala Harris, Vice President, Democratic nominee, I guess presumptive at this point, has chosen Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her vice presidential running mate. Assess that pick from the choices that we knew she was considering.
Well, it was pretty clear when it came out yesterday that she had settled on two: Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro, a more centrist prospect, and Minnesota Governor Walz, who is, while homespun and with some appeal to working people and union people, is, through his congressional record and in his governor's record, more traditionally to the left than Shapiro, and who was endorsed over the weekend by Bernie Sanders when he was in Minnesota. I assess this as Kamala Harris having a choice, a clear choice, between appealing to the center to go for swing voter and mobilizing or placating her left base. And she has gone with the latter. She did that when she ran for president in 2019 for the nomination. She got out there on national health insurance, didn't hold up well. And afterward, her supporters said she had allowed the consultants to lurch her more to the left than she actually is. I think it's happened again. So I vote because I think you play for swing voters in the upper Midwestern states, and you can't win without Pennsylvania and Shapiro, talented, pragmatic type of Democrat that I like, who think could have helped her get that key state. However, what will redeem this choice, make it brilliant, is if Walz's homespun charm, his Truman-esque candor, the things that have impressed so many people and put him on her radar, if those sustain, because it will be a very good contrast with J.D. Vance, who I don't think has advantages of authenticity. Maybe Walz will. I think she's playing for that. I also think she's afraid of protests from the left. I just do, and I regret that. I think that actually helps her in the general election. But that's where it is. It's not a fatal pick, even in my view. It's a good pick. This guy's got some appeal. I wish she had gone another philosophical direction, but there's hope here for Democrats with this style of running mate.
Well, I'll give your centrist roots a little ammunition here. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia has come out and said that Tim Walz was the best choice that she could have made for her vice presidential pick shortly after she named him. I don't think he's necessarily towing the party line, since he's not a member of the Democratic Party.
No.
What do you think of that?
No. I had not yet seen Mr. Manchin's endorsement, and I think it's encouraging to me from what I'm looking for. Bear in mind, he's not even a Democrat anymore. He's an independent, but neither is Bernie Sanders. So, nor am I. So, with some people who aren't in the party holding, but and I assume he knows the gentleman, Walz, and if he likes him, based on more than style, I can see liking the style. A regular guy who formerly was a school teacher, and who labor people and rural people in Minnesota like that. That's good. However, I'm telling you, and you sent me a compilation, and I've seen a couple of others. The Republicans think they got a lot of ammunition on Walz. They've got a long dossier on his traditional liberal positions, and that's what we're going to hear. And it's going to be like everything else. Can the Democrats and Walz make this about a cultural connection, a personal connection, or can the Republicans define this gentleman based on traditional liberal positions that he's taken. And the game is on. But I think that is the whole game. I think that's who parlays this choice most effectively. And but if Manchin likes it, I'll take another look at it as soon as we quit recording here, because that's I want to see what he had to say.
I just throw that out there. I saw it right before we sat down, so it popped through my Twitter feed.
That's good to know.
So
I usually learn something when I talk to you, so that's good. That's good.
We will see a barnstorming tour of the Democratic ticket now for the next week or so before the convention starts. We are already seeing Donald Trump on the campaign trail, J.D. Vance on the campaign trail. We may see a little bit more of a pivot from them now in terms of now they know who they will be running against in terms of a ticket. What do you expect to happen this next week before the convention? Is it just going to be all positive PR for both sides, or do you think we'll see some things mix up like we did last week when Donald Trump sat down with the National Association of Black Journalists, which is a conversation beyond this one right now?
What I think will happen, but it will depend on Walz's performance, is that beginning this evening, I think Tuesday evening in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken, Walz will make his debut, and his rough-edged authenticity, if not some humor, if not some cultural connecting appeal, needs to be in the front, needs to be shown. And he can become something of a fad turned into a phenomenon. Will he catch on? And if he catches on, then you've got some momentum leading to the convention. And it will provide a buffer period before the Republican attacks on him as a traditional liberal will settle on the most devastating ones, be it that he has said something tolerant about Black Lives Matter during riots in one of his cities, or something like that. That's what it's not being a liberal that kills a Democrat, that Republicans can say that will kill a Democrat. It's picking out one or two or three of those things and making him frightful to anti-liberals and frightful to centrist voters who fear liberalism. But for the time being, I've never really paid any attention to Walz. I'm going to get an introduction tonight, like everyone else, and we'll see what we got. But he needs to be on his game, and his game is authenticity and a personal connection, and that's his job, and it's important because we're going for swing voters and working people in 3 or 4 states in the upper Midwest, basically.
Yeah.
And that's his audience. He does. He needs to do well.
That rally being in Philadelphia, the city of freedom. Freedom, I think, is going to be kind of the centerpiece of the Harris campaign. If you look at some of the early messaging that comes out there, what do you think Trump Vance do to pull momentum away from A, this vice presidential pick, and B, you got the convention next week for Democrats? Just like the Republicans had kind of the space to themselves a couple of weeks ago in the aftermath of the assassination attempt, there was a ton of goodwill and, overwhelmingly positive press for Trump and the Republicans. How do they regain their momentum when Democrats are going to be dominating the stage for the next 2 weeks?
Sometimes you just have to surrender the stage. It's the Democrats' time, just as it was your time during the convention. And the Republican convention was a tour de force in Trump's last night's speech when he reverted to a destructive, ridiculous form. So he doesn't need to interject ridiculous form and return to his ridiculous form. Really compete right now. Sometimes the stage is occupied by the other side, and you can keep your powder dry through a convention without it being a problem, because the convention lasts 3.5, 4 days, and then that's over, and it's time to get back in the game. And I don't think Trump and Vance do it. Trump's going to be Trump. That's not much of a communicator that I see. He's a liability, but the Republican attack machine, that's they and soft money and political action money, that sort of thing. Their game is destroy these two people, Harris and Walz. That's the game. They're popular right now, they're remaining popular. So to destroy them, and they both are left in their voting records and in their performance records. So there's ammunition there, and that's what they've got to do. Trump will go around and give his rights. Vance will try to not say something stupid again, and the rest of it is the attack machine, the Oppo research too. And how effective the Republicans are, because this whole thing can be redefined, recalibrated in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
When they get loose. So that's what I'm looking for.
And there's
whether it happens, how it happens.
And there's only there's only several weeks left too, as well. Watching swing state polling, we have seen some things tighten up in those, particularly those Midwestern states that you talked about. That it seems like Harris has made some inroads there in terms of regaining what Biden was losing. Yes. We'll keep an eye on those. I would expect there to be, if there's a vacuum, there's going to be some positive press for Democrats. So she could come out of that convention with a lead in some of those states, and then we'll see if it dials back with some of the paid media that you're talking about that'll be out there. That's kind of the game plan, right?
I predict that you are right. I predict that there's goodwill, and it's time for momentum. The convention is coming up. They got an interesting new fresh-faced character, and yeah, she's been pulling up in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and I think it is not uncommon for a Democratic nominee to come out of the convention ahead. Michael Dukakis was way ahead. John Kerry was ahead. Neither one became president. I mean, I bet we gather here after the Democratic convention to size up the fact that Harris is 2 to 4 points ahead in those big three states: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and Republicans will be mounting an attack, and the Democrats will be having irrational exuberance. That's where I think we'll be for 3 or 4 days after the convention. All right.
All right. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll visit this all in about a week again, and we'll see what's going on. And hey, in a week, John Brummett, I will be a grandfather. How about that? For the first time.
Well, congratulations. You're entirely too young for that. I think of you as a whippersnapper, grandpa whippersnapper. That's what you are. Congratulations to you, buddy.
I appreciate it. You take care. John Brummett, our columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Always appreciate you being with us.
See you, Gramps. Bye-bye.